Myron Smith. I'm Dustin Smith's grandfather, and he has asked me to tell you a brief story about my years in World War II. I graduated from high school in 1941. In December 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and at war with the Japanese and with Germany. Shortly after that, I volunteered for service in the United States Army Air Corps. I was assigned to radio school. I became a radio operator after after 4 months of training. I was a radio operator in aerial gunnery school in Harlingen, Texas. After aerial gunnery school, I was shipped to Pueblo, Colorado, where we were formed into 10-man crews, bomber crews, and immediately began flight training in a B24 Liberator bomber, which at that time was state-of-the-art 4-engine bomber. After 3.5 months of training in Pueblo, Colorado, we were sent to Lincoln, Nebraska to pick up a brand new Liberator and fly it to England, which we did. After arriving in England, we were assigned to the 44th Bombardment Group and immediately began flying missions to Germany. Flew several uneventful missions. I'd say uneventful. They are uneventful as far as our particular crew was concerned, because we didn't see that much action. The one mission I'm going to tell you about took place on February 13th, 1944. This was a mission that was referred to as a milk run. The Germans were lobbing rockets with high explosives over the channel into England from occupied France. Our mission was to bomb the launching pads for these rockets, and we were only over land about 5 minutes. We turned in the water toward the target, and we were flying low altitude for us, which was about 11,000 feet. This particular day was the third day in a row we'd been to this target, and as we turned and dropped our bombs, immediately after dropping the bombs, we were hit by anti-aircraft fire. One exploded very close to the airplane, causing large holes to appear, killing the right waist gunner and injuring the left waist gunner. The tail turret gunner and the ball turret gunner were all injured by that blast. It also knocked out 2 engines and severed several hydraulic lines, and the B-24 Liberator will not fly or not maintain altitude on 2 engines, so we were steadily dropping as we went back across the channel toward England. By the time we reached the coast of England, it was now or never, so the navigator found a small grass airfield, which was an RAF base, a British RAF base, and we had no choice. We put the bomber down there. There were no runways, and we skidded on the grass and managed to hit a couple of revetments, which was shielding the Spitfires that these people were flying at the base. Careened on into the woods and broke the airplane up pretty good. I remember everyone trying to get out of the top hatch at once, and we eventually all made it. The pilot was the last one out, grabbed the fire extinguisher and put the fire out in one engine. we stayed at this RAF base for a week, and went down just about every day to look at the airplane, and it was dripping gasoline and hydraulic fluid and blood for almost all the time we were there. Eventually, at the end of the week, they trucked us up to an air base that had runways, and a B24 crew from our base in East Anglia flew down, picked us up, and took us home. The airplane that we crash landed there was eventually repaired and flown out of there somehow. It finished out the war as a cargo plane. They took the turrets off of it, and it finished out the war as a cargo plane. I wish I could say that flying was a glamorous job over there, but it wasn't. It was a dirty, rotten job, really. The bombers at that time had no pressurized cabins, no heating. Temperatures at 30,000 feet in that area were 55 below zero. We had heated flying suits and some protective clothing, of course, gloves and heated shoes. I don't know really what else to say. I finished out, I was in England for 2 years with the 8th Air Force. Finally, the war was over in 1945. We all came home on the Queen Mary. But it was an experience that I'll never forget, and I recall just as though it were yesterday, a good many of the details anyway. So that's my story. Thank you.
No, that's it. Put it on